The rain in Brighton that night wasn't normal rain. It didn't fall softly from the sky, it hammered the streets like nails. Every gust of wind hurled icy water sideways, soaking me through my jacket. By the time I turned off the seafront, I could barely see. I should have been in London already. I had my ticket, my plan, but a delayed bus meant I missed my last train. I tried every cheap hostel within walking distance of the station, but they were full. My phone was dead. My bag was heavy. My shoes squelched with every step. That was when I saw it. Tall. Victorian. Its outline blurred by rain. Above the doorway, a sign swung violently on rusty chains. The upper floors were completely dark, their windows black like blind eyes. But the ground floor glowed with a faint, steady light. I hesitated for a moment. Something about it felt wrong, like a place that was waiting for me. But my skin was numb from the cold. I told myself I was imagining things and ran for the entrance. The heavy oak doors groaned as I pushed them open. Warm air hit me instantly, but not the warm, welcoming kind. This was stale heat, like air trapped in an attic. The lobby was dim, lit by a single table lamp on the reception desk. The wallpaper, once elegant, was peeling in long strips, revealing brown stains beneath. A huge grandfather clock stood in the corner, ticking so slowly I had to hold my breath to hear it. Behind the desk sat an elderly man in a dark suit. His skin was pale, almost grey, stretched thin over sharp cheekbones. His eyes were small and deep-set. He didn't blink much. "You're lucky," he said in a flat voice. "Only one room left." "That's fine," I replied, pulling out my wallet. He didn't ask for my name. Didn't even check a book. He reached into a drawer and handed me a heavy brass key with a thick tag, room 6, 5th floor. The lift was the old kind, a small cage with a metal gate you had to pull shut. I stepped inside, dripping water onto the floor, and looked at the control panel. That's when I realized something was wrong. The buttons read B, G, 1, 2, 3, 4, then a blank metal plate. No, 5. Before I could ask, the old man called out without looking up. "Hold the blank button down. Long press." I pressed it. The lift shuddered violently, groaning as it climbed higher than it should. When the doors opened, I stepped into a long, silent corridor. The carpet was faded, patterned with strange twisting shapes that almost moved when I stared too long. The wallpaper was the color of old teeth. The air felt heavy, thick enough that each breath took effort. I could hear nothing. No hum of electricity. No creak of the storm outside. Room 6 was the first door on the left. I slid the key in. The lock turned with a soft click. It looked perfectly normal. Double bed. Small desk with a kettle and cups. A wardrobe in the corner. But a few things felt off. The window didn't show the street or the sea, just a wall of thick grey mist pressing against the glass. Still, I was exhausted. I changed into dry clothes and made tea. That's when I realized it was too quiet. The wind had stopped. The rain had stopped. Even the building seemed to be holding its breath. I don't know when I fell asleep. But I woke around midnight to the sound of footsteps in the corridor. Slow. Heavy. Dragging. They stopped outside my door. I held my breath. Knock. 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 I didn't move. A long silence. Then, a whisper. Too faint to understand, but I heard my name in it. The footsteps dragged away. 3 a.m. The kettle was boiling. Steam curled into the air, but the switch was off. The mist outside the window was gone. In its place was a long hallway, lit by a sickly yellow light. It stretched endlessly into the distance. Far down the hallway, something dark was moving along the ceiling, crawling towards me. I shut the curtains. I didn't sleep again that night. The morning after that sleepless night, I told myself I'd leave. But the storm outside made even the thought of walking to the station impossible. The rain wasn't just heavy anymore, it was violent. It slammed against the windows with a force that rattled the glass. I stayed in the room, pacing. My body was in Brighton, but my mind was somewhere else, replaying the knocks on my door, the whisper of my name, the endless yellow hallway. By midday, my stomach forced me out. I opened the door and stepped into the corridor. It was even colder than the night before. The air hung still, thick, like I was underwater. My breath came out in fog. As I reached the lift, I heard footsteps again, but they were different now. Not heavy. Not dragging. Small. Light. Almost like a child running barefoot. I turned quickly. The corridor was empty. The lift rattled down to the lobby. The old man was behind the desk, flipping slowly through a small, cracked leather photo album. When his watery eyes flicked up and caught me looking, he closed it quickly, but not before I saw her. A girl. 13 at most. Dark hair in 2 braids, white lace dress, a shy smile. Standing in this very lobby. "Who's that?" I asked. His lips thinned. "No one you need to know." Then he slid the album out of sight. I grabbed a sandwich from a corner shop and came back, stepping into the old lift. The moment I pulled the gate shut, I heard it. A girl's voice. Clear. Close. Inside the lift with me. "I'm still here." I spun around, my back pressing against the gate. No one was there. When I looked down, the blank 5th floor button was already pressed. I hadn't touched it. The lift climbed, creaking. My chest tightened as the door slid open to the silent corridor again. The smell hit me first. Damp. Rot. Something old. That night, I left the light on and sat by the desk, staring at the curtains. At 3 a.m., the mist outside the window cleared again, and the endless yellow hallway returned. She was there. The girl from the photo. Her head hung low, hair covering her face. A tall, dark figure stood behind her, resting a hand on her shoulder. When they both turned toward me, the lights flickered. The kettle began to boil, hissing violently even though it was unplugged. The girl lifted her head. Her eyes were dark, endless, and wet with tears. In the morning, I went straight to the desk. "Who is she?" I demanded. "The girl in the photo." The old man's hands twitched. "She went missing," he said flatly. "Nobody knows." "You killed her," I cut in. His eyes went cold. "Be careful with your words, boy." I found myself walking around the hotel uncontrollably. On the 4th floor, I found a linen cupboard with a back panel that sounded hollow. Behind it was a small rusted door, locked tight. I forced it open with a bent metal hanger. The smell that rolled out nearly knocked me over, damp, mold, and something worse. Inside was a cramped, windowless space. And in the corner, a bundle wrapped in an old bedsheet. I pulled it open with trembling hands. Bones. Small. Fragile. Still wearing a white lace dress. The air around me changed. It felt lighter, warmer. I turned. She was there. Not the pale, crying ghost I had seen before. She was smiling, her braids neat, her dress clean. "Thank you, Tund," she said softly. Her voice was clear now. Then she stepped back and faded. I went straight to the police station. The hotel was sealed off that same day. The old man was taken away in handcuffs, his face as pale as the day I met him. The 5th floor. They told me it never existed on the building plans. But they believed me because they had the proof of her remains. 2 days later, I boarded the train to London. The storm had cleared. As the city skyline came into view, I smiled for the first time since arriving in Brighton. I had left the Pavilion Hotel alive. And the girl, she had finally left it too.